All right, let's get after it.
Right on.
We have a very exciting episode for everyone today here on Build Stuff, Be Kind. David Meltzer, legend in the sports world. Life's mission, empower over 1 billion people to be happy. Everything that you represent and exude and present is embodied in that commitment, and I feel it, and I know many others as well. David, welcome.
Thank you so much. I think two things come to mind. One, it's over 1 billion people. I never like to limit myself. In fact, all my thoughts in an abundant, infinite world are limiting. So I take all limiting thoughts and apply which ones serve me best. And so I want to make sure that people don't limit themselves. And then two, clearly define happiness for me. And I'm very pragmatic in my mission of creating abundance, which means, hey, if you want to be happy, then make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. And I think a lot of people theoretically get caught up between joy and happiness, passion and purpose. And, you know, I'm very clear that I've never met anyone, and I'm blessed to be someone who is out there meeting people all the time. I've never met anyone that makes a lot of money, helps a lot of people, and has a lot of fun doing it that isn't happy. So I'm sticking to my pragmatic three. I also am not limiting myself, but understand that all thoughts are limiting in an abundant world. So pick those thoughts that serve you best, even if they are limiting.
I love that. Thank you. And amen. The first time we crossed paths was at VCon in Indy. And actually, literally, I was just walking into the stadium and I just see this crowd forming around someone. I'm like, what's going on? And I just kind of, you know, it's easy. I'm a giant, so easy for me to kind of look over the crowd. And I stopped there for probably 15, 20 minutes, and just everything that you were spitting was just so aligned with my beliefs about, you know, things that we're committed to, the goals and visions that we have, and really expressing that commitment and sharing that. What is it? And then we crossed paths again at Silicon Slopes in Utah a couple months back. What is it about a live crowd gathered around you that just gets you in the zone?
It's the higher consciousness. It's a collective consciousness. It's the community that is the backbone, the spine of all human beings. And if we understand conscious, subconscious, unconscious, upper conscious, we'll understand why a collective, and this is historical and religious in its nature, whether you believe in 8 people in a transformational world or 12 people in a minion, a group of people creates a separate mastermind. And we know that as well in the academia of a mastermind. So for me, to participate in community in person provides 2 different values that you can't get anywhere else. One is the collective consciousness, but also via technology today, it creates a second opportunity called capture. And so you're missing out on 50% of the impact or influence that I talk about. You're missing on 50% of it if you're only creating the artificial without having the community. And so I try to create as many opportunities of community as I can in person, and then get the secondary amplification of capture that then I can modify and amplify and create even more life, energy, and love with. But there's, to me, nothing more important in community of collective consciousness. In fact, I think that in all business and in all personal life, that we need to elevate the prioritization of community. And for me, my primary focus in this mission is to create a community of people that want to help each other and know people that can help each other, because we've never had such a amazing opportunity in the size, scope, and scale to build a collective consciousness of millions, if not billions of people.
I love that. I mean, community is near and dear to my heart. I built a brand around community. I'm building community here in Arizona, and the way that you just spoke about individual connections as community and these even small group, like That's such a enlightening way to think about, because I think we think about community, and I've experienced this, consulting companies and brands. It's like, oh, I got to build a community, and we all think a billion plus, which is great, and we want to have these big goals and focus, but the way that you get to that billion plus is one to one and nurturing and building those relationships. And I think that's such a powerful insight. How do you approach connecting with people? Is that something that you feel like is natural? I've experienced it now firsthand, but you have this ability to connect one to one in these small groups at a large scale on a national scale on TV and streaming. Where does your mind go, or what skill set do you feel like allows you to connect the way that you do with people?
Well, I think there's two things that I've learned. One is to look introspectively first, at taking inventory of my own essence. And I've broken that down for
Mm,
me. I really want to understand my skills, my knowledge of who and what, and my desire. And I take a
mm,
daily inventory utilizing practices to utilize the skills, knowledge, and desires to be synergistic, supplementary to where I want to be or better. So the first thing is to take inventory of who we are, because if we don't know who we are, we're going to end up in what we're missing, what we don't have, or what other people want or think we are. In fact, there's a huge energy crisis between who I am and who I want people to think I am. So if I'm not very
mm.
diligent and disciplined in taking inventory
Yeah,
in who I am, and so after the first step of taking inventory of who I am, the second thing is to be more interested than interesting. One thing you'll find, whether it's
yeah,
one on one, one on two, or one on 1 million, and I've had the blessing to do that through technology and stages,
yeah.
is that I'm pursuing, as being more interested, two things: what people
Mm,
like and what they don't like. And the reason I do that is that I have simplified all value. My mission in life is to provide value, productive, accessible, and gracious value to
totally.
people. But the only way you can provide value, Sean, is to give people more of what they like or take away some, if
Mm.
not all, of what they don't like. So I've simplified it. Hey, I know who I am. Now I need to know what
Yeah,
you like and what you don't like. Now I can ask you, hey, would it help you if, or do you know anyone that can help me? I can't ask those two questions if I don't know who I am or I don't know what you like or what you don't like.
totally. And is that a process you go through daily, in the morning, in the evening, that you create yourself, that you recite this, or
Yeah.
have something that you read over?
So for me, it's number one, my tomorrow starts today. So my day starts at 9 p.m. in that unwinding routine. And so I'm taking
Mm,
inventory
okay.
of where I want to be, mind, body, and soul. So at 9 p.m., I'm in an unwinding at ease routine that's taking inventory of who I am. And I'm pre programming the 8 hour habit, which I want to be the best in the world at. I want to be in the Hall of Fame of, called sleep. I've had a sleep coach for 17 years for a reason.
What?
And I
Wow.
couldn't think of a better thing to be the best at than sleep. And I know that's counterintuitive to
I love
people
that.
because I'm probably one of the most active and productive people. But when
Yeah.
I value sleep so highly, they're all surprised because they think, what, what, that guy's, he seems like he's always going. No, I'm religious and I'm great at sleep. And then, of
Got it
course, in the
dialed.
morning, yeah. And then in the morning, taking inventory again and aligning it with what I want, who I can help, and who can help me.
Man, that's amazing. I want to go in a little different direction. I've watched a lot of videos of you talking about 2008, having to recreate yourself, rebuild your wealth. Um, and I want to, and we could talk about the process and how you did it, but more, I want to focus on who you were, not what you did. How did you take that gut punch, and what were the character traits, or maybe the first character trait that you leaned on, and we can kind of go from there, that really allowed you to start the climb again?
Yeah. Well, one, it was my wife that gave me the perspective. to expand to a better place, a better position, a better circumstance, because she told me
Wow.
two things. She said, David, I need you to take stock in who you were and what you want to become. And two, she said, imagine if I told your mom or your mom knew who you really were. And both of those
Dang.
gave me a perspective of who I was and who I wanted to become, because who I was the man my mom wanted me to be. Who I wanted to become was the man my mom wanted me to be. But who I was at that time was who I wanted people to think I was. And I wasn't
Got it.
the man who my mom wanted me to be. And so I took stock in four things, and I've lived and practiced these four things now every day to get better at them, because good behavior creates good progress. All outcomes will reveal themselves as positive if you stay consistent in the good behavior. So, number one,
Hmm.
simple gratitude. I was going to find the light, the love, and the lessons in everything. Two, forgiveness. I was going to live at ease
Hmm.
with that perspective of gratitude. Accountability. So I was going to take responsibility. I was going to see what I did to attract it. And I was going to participate in the perception, all to figure out what I was supposed to learn from it through gratitude and forgiveness.
Wow.
So accountability then gave me control. And then finally, effective communication, which was a shift in a paradigm from trying to communicate and convince people to communicate with that which was bigger than me, an infinite, abundant, unified system of thought, to identify not what I wanted more of, but to identify what I was doing to interfere with what was already blessing me. And so,
Wow.
in this perspective of gratitude giving me perspective, forgiveness giving me ease, accountability giving me control, effective communication utilizing all three to effectuate inspiration to allow me to identify what I was doing to interfere, FEAR, with my potential. And once I shifted that paradigm and put myself into the practice of it, not attaching my emotions to an outcome and judging with conditions that I was good or bad or not good enough or not worthy enough or not enough in
Yeah.
general, when I made it a practice of mine, noting that energy, a behavior aggregates on itself, it compounds exponentially the outcomes, and it accelerates them to appease the human nature of wanting things faster. This system that I put into place based off of these four core values allowed me to recover, to remember, recollect, and remind with a greater system, unified and abundant in its thought, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun.
Wow. Such a profound set of tools that that I don't think many would find in that difficult place. And I, in some ways, find myself not to any scale that you were then, but I sold a business 2 years ago. Have been grinding for the last 2 years, really trying to figure out this agency thing. Went into NFTs, pretty heavy in crypto, and just really leaning into this idea. I think I know at the core, building community, providing value, that there is so much that I've been blessed with in my life that comes easy, that is abundant, that is just overflows with gratitude that I have for the things that I have, that I have this opportunity to serve and to uplift and inspire and employ people through that. And I think part of the challenge has been really navigating that it hasn't turned out in maybe how I had envisioned it 2 years ago when selling the business. Like, oh, okay, I've done it. Now it's going to come faster, or easier, or the heavens are going to open up, and I know my path, so let's go. But a lot of what you just shared is really the process that I feel like I'm in now, is really assessing what I'm great at, assessing what brings me value, what brings my family value, and how to focus on that. Where did this idea, because I love, I mean, so many of the points, but value is a key word that I mean, at the heart and soul of Keep Nature Wild, the outdoor brand that we built, is like provide value first. That was like our first core principle. It was like provide value to our community first, and then everything else will work its way out. How did you take those four core learnings and really hone in on this idea of value, and how to provide that value, and how to also navigate? Because I'm sure you get hit up, hey, come on my podcast, come talk with me, often. How have you navigated this core competency and like core idea of providing value?
So I had to create a daily practice that would incorporate two things: the ability to know what's important to me, and then the ability to apply my why to what which is important to me, not search for my
Mm.
why. So instead of I want more of X, it was I am X. What am I doing to interfere with X? And so for me, it
Mm.
was these daily practices to understand what's important to me today in a trajectory of where I think I want to be in the future, which incorporates radical humility, that I don't know what I don't know. So I can only think what I want in the future or better, and then
Yeah,
applying the light, the love, and the lessons to the past to align with, not limit me in the future. So the only limitation of our past is the meaning we give it. And the only limitation of our future, which we started the interview with, is my own
yeah,
self image. So if my self
mm.
image says I want to empower a billion people compared to I want to empower over a billion people, that's indicative of my self image. And so for
Yeah,
me, I have created a present practice with the 24 hours that I'm given each day, almost guaranteed, almost
yeah,
each day. And I'm utilizing it to say, okay, here's what I want today in a trajectory of where I think I want to be, giving these light, love, and lessons of my past: bankruptcy, dumb decisions, drugs, alcohol, just dumb stuff. I'm giving the meaning
yeah,
to those experiences in alignment, not in punishment, but in promotion and protection of where I think I want to be. Now I can utilize to figure out what's important. Once I know what I want, then I can say, okay, who can I help and who can help me? Now I'm getting even
yeah,
more importance in there. And then I reconcile it with my day and say, okay, how can I get this done today in accordance to the 24 hours of activities? And so I segregate out my non negotiables of fitness and family and faith and sleep, finance and time. And believe it or not, those only take up 10 hours. Sleep and my non negotiables,
yeah,
I have 14 hours a day to do what's important to me and to reprioritize. Because if you know your what, your who, and your how, you will know your now and know your next. Prioritization is the antidote to interference, is the antidote to feeling overwhelmed, is the antidote to the
mm.
procrastination that occurs. And now, when I know my now, instead of searching for my why, I know my why. I just have to apply it and identify what I'm doing to interfere with it, not searching for what I already have, because I know who I am
Mm.
and where I think I want to be with the meaning that's aligned with it.
Wow. So you take I am that, or you create yourself as that thing, align it with your why, your purpose, and then figure out, okay, what's getting in my way to make those things perfectly overlapped.
Yeah, and who can I help and who can help me, right? That's the only
And who
missing
can
thing
you
you
help?
had in
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the community aspect of
Mm.
it's all about who I can help and who can help me, which amplifies and aggregates, accelerates those outcomes as well. So Yeah, and then I have clarity, balance, and focus each day. The balance is interesting because I have a new word. I used to talk about weighted balance. I'd say, look, too many
Hmm.
people are trying to have 25% of their day for their personal,
Yeah.
25 experiential, 25 giving, and 25 receiving. I now, and I used to say, no, it's a weighted balance each day. Some day, 90% of what I do is personal. Some days, 90% is giving. Some days,
Hmm.
90% is receiving. I love
Yeah.
this word. How about harmony in activity?
Mm.
So I just have harmony
Love that.
between personal, experiential giving and receiving. I'm creating harmony each day towards what I want, who I can
Yeah.
help, who can help me, and how to get it done, allowing me to prioritize by harmonious behavior to be at ease. So when I'm at ease, I'm in the flow, I'm in spirit, I'm
Totally.
inspired. And now it's quite easy to identify what I'm doing to be afraid or to interfere with my potential.
Something that I'm recognizing in the chaos is what you just described of like you talked about in the flow. For me, it's like the top of my list is like this is me chill as can be, and creating myself as chill
Yeah,
because it
ease.
is like
Ease,
when
not
I can
dis-ease.
be in that chill mode, I can be in attack mode, but from a chill state, or I can be in relax mode, but it's when I'm agitated or caught up in all the extraneous distractions that I lose my chill, and
Yeah.
and there is that flow state, that focus when I can just like okay, come back down to chill, and then let's see what opportunities present themselves.
Yeah, to that measure, like I
What
want to
is
be known as
yep.
an influencer, not an influencer. Too many influencers
I
are
love
they're
it.
spreading the fear,
Yes.
they're spreading dis-ease, man. I want to be the
The
influencer putting people in the flow.
well, that's why I love that we can just get into the flow here and just really dig in deep. What is community to you? What is the David Meltzer community? What is community in general? What does that look like to you?
It it's really easy for me. I believe in frequency and vibration. So a community to me is people that are of a neighborhood at the same frequency. So it's a
Mm,
neighborhood who resonates with one another. They have differing mindsets, heart sets, and handsets, but they're at the same vibe, the same frequency, and with the same intention of helping each other and knowing people that can help each other at that same frequency. I would say your frequency is your neighborhood, your community, and the bigger your community, the more options, opportunities, and touches of favor you're going to have because you have more people buying from you and selling for you, not just products, services,
mm.
solutions, but
Oh, for sure.
ideas and love and light and all the things that we're living for.
So, how important, and I know the answer, but how important is aligning that frequency then?
It's really important in a congruent state of what I call the theory of feeding and bleeding in relativity. So for me, uh, we're built into systems where there may be some counterproductive frequencies. You got an office next to somebody that's not at your frequency. You were born into six kids,
Yeah.
all not at the same frequency. So I do an evaluation to protect my neighborhood where I say to myself, how much does someone feed me or bleed me in order to determine
Mm,
the frequency we're on? But I also evaluate it under the reality of the world we live in, which is how relative is this person in my life to determine how much
yeah.
I need them to fall away if they're not the right frequency or my ability to fire them. So, for example, my mom, who's
Totally.
80 years old, is not at my frequency anymore. She bleeds me emotionally, financially,
Yeah.
and I but she's the most relative person in my life. I apologize to my kids and my wife, but I will tell you my mom is
Yeah.
the only one on earth that if I asked her right now to lie in front of a bus to save my life, I have no doubt she would do it. Not so sure about my kids or my wife. They would think about it. I'm not so sure. So
Yeah.
my mom's the
Yeah.
most relative person in my life.
Mm,
Therefore,
love that.
I will allow her to interfere with my frequency more than I would some high school friend of
Someone.
mine who still says negative things about me and hurts my feelings, I fire those
Yeah.
people from my life now.
I love that. I think even makes me think about, clients or just jobs you're doing or tasks you're doing. Like if that frequency isn't aligned, fire it.
Yeah,
That's
fire,
such a good way
or
to
at least allow it
look
to
at it.
fall away, right?
And I think it's an interesting perspective of like, you have your friends, you have your family, you have, these different communities or different networks, but there is that frequency, that vibe that you have with people. My birthday was a couple weeks back, and about 10 of my longtime high school friends, we got together for dinner, and it's just a vibe. Like no one's trying to, it's just chill. We just hang out and have a good time. And there's a vibe there that's different than a vibe maybe at a conference or, people I interact with at events and things. But that's such an interesting way to think about community that I've never thought about, is that frequency, that vibe that you're on with people, and just finding more or just recognizing the different frequencies of where it is that you show up. You talked about your kids. I want to know what's the one trait that you hope that your kids learn from you, take from you, that is a future unlock for them, whether it's career or business partner or relationship partner, that trait is something that they learned from dear old dad, that also is something that empowers them in the future.
It's the desire that they must be what they can be. That's it. If my kids have a desire that they must be what they can be, then all the effort I have
Wow.
for them to know I love them, I'm proud of them, and I always have their back. But if they walk away from my relationship saying I have a desire that I must be what I can be, I've done my job.
Wow. That's beautiful. Such an empowering way of reach your potential, but in an empowered way, or in an internalized way, instead of potential being external. Which often we think of it as that. I'm a photographer, perspective and potential. It's like, okay, where am I seeing things? But that's a beautiful way of making that something they can own.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that one to heart.
I got time for one more question, my brother.
Yeah, well, that's perfect, because my final question is, what role, it's the question we ask everybody who's on the Build Stuff, Be Kind podcast, what role has kindness played in building your success, David Meltzer?
Everything. All I wanted to say on my tombstone is kind. He was kind. And it's not in the sense that everybody thinks. My favorite line that I finish up almost every interview, which is so appropriate for here, is be kind to your future self, and do good deeds. Kindness is everything, and it incorporates my four values of
100%.
gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. Kindness is everything, and it plays the most important role in my life. I look to see in any situation, circumstance, or event, any person I encounter, I see how I can be kind and do good.
Amazing. That's a mic drop there. Kindness is a strength, and that's what we're out here spreading the good word. And you are an incredible embodiment of that. Your strength just exudes from you. Your presence, and everything I can attest is rooted in kindness. You are a person that I very much look up to, and see the role that kindness is playing and continues to play in your life. And I appreciate you being kind, taking the time, and sharing your wisdom with me and with our audience. And I hope you have an incredible, incredible day, and that this gets you one step further on that path to 1 billion plus happy people. I'm happy. So check one off the list. So thank you, sir. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, my friend. Talk to you soon.
We'll see ya. Wow. Dude's legit. Woo! Holy cow. So good. Holy. That's the new trailer for the whole show. Oh my gosh.